Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is MMA Jack, and today we're going to be breaking down the UFC 304 main card. I'm going to be giving you guys my picks for every main card fight and a couple betting lines because there's some good underdogs on this main card and a couple spots that I like. This is my first video, so thank you to anyone who's watching, and if you enjoy, please like and subscribe. And one day you can say that you were part of the OG squad when we hit 100,000 subs. So let's get right into this main card. Our first fight, we got Arnold versus Giga Chikadze. Arnold coming in at a minus 250 betting favorite, and Giga's coming in at a plus 205, which I think is pretty fair odds for this fight. So we've got Arnold coming in 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He beat Kape on a technicality in a fight night main event a while ago, maybe about a year or two ago. But I do think that Arnold would have won that fight regardless because he's a monster. And then he took that decision loss to Max Holloway, but he was in that fight the whole time. And then the decision loss to Movsar, which, again, he was in the fight the whole time and arguably could have won that fight. So I wouldn't put his losses against him. He's been going against crazy competition, but Arnold Allen's a monster. He's a great striker too, and he has grappling ability, but he tends to not use it unless he needs to. I think he prefers to stay on the feet, which is why I love the prospect of this fight, because when we look at Giga Chikadze, he's the exact same style of fighter, and we know that's going to be a guaranteed banger. So taking a look at Giga's last 3 fights, he is 2-1. He took a W to Alex Caceres. Fight went to decision. He lost to Calvin Kattar, which was a brutal beating. But it shows that Giga's got a chin and he's tough and he can stay in there. And he was banging the whole time with Kattar, but Kattar just outskilled him. And he also beat Edson Barboza and finished him, which is aging as an impressive win. Edson's older, but he's still got the dog in him. So I'm really excited to see this fight, and I think it's a great opener for the main card because most likely we're going to see a war on the feet play out. I don't think anyone will get finished because both of them, they're great strikers, but they're not those type of guys who are putting people out, multiple fights in a row. They both have a couple knockout wins, but they're both very elusive too, and the fight's only 3 rounds. So I'm going to go with Arnold Allen by decision. I think he is a little bit better of a striker than Giga, and I think he's more defensively sound. Giga also is kind of up and down. It depends on the night for him. He could come out and put on an amazing performance, but he could also come out and shit the bed. I think the fight is going to be competitive, but not crazy competitive. I would not be surprised if it was a 29-28 Arnold Allen. I wouldn't be surprised if Giga snuck around in there. But I think for the most part, we're going to see Arnold Allen striking take over. And Giga he'll look good in there, but there's levels to this game. So going into the next fight, we got Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev, who, first of all, let me just get my opinion out there about anyone with the last name that starts with a V and is from Russia. I hate the Dagestani crotch sniffers. So if you love them and you glaze them, you can unsubscribe right now. But I think Kape's got this one in the bag. And I think the betting odds are a little bit crazy on this one. So Manel Kape is coming in on a 4-fight win streak, all wins in the UFC, 2 decision, 2 knockout. And we got Muhammad Mokaev, who's coming in on a 10-fight win streak, but half the competition he faced was trash, and he's fought low-level guys and barely made it out of there. Now, I will be real and say, obviously, Mokaev is a skilled fighter, and he's very good. But there's been multiple times where he's been caught. He's almost been submitted. If you guys remember that knee bar, his knee literally almost broke in half, which was insane. I don't know how he didn't tap to that. Respect to him. But I think Kape is on another level. I don't think he's going to be a reigning champ for years, but I think he is a very high up jump in competition for Mokaev. And Mokaev's never faced anyone like Kape. Currently, the betting odds are sitting with Mokaev as the slight favorite. And I hate this because every time that I think a Dagestani is going to lose and they're a slight favorite, they win. But I truly do think for this fight, Kape can even out the grappling and beat him on the feet. And Mokaev is very overrated, in my opinion. I don't think he'll ever be a champion. I could be wrong, but I don't think he'll ever be a champion. But also, like I said, I don't think Kape will ever be a champion. I just think there's levels to this game, and I think that Kape has shown us a lot more promising fights than Mokaev has, especially with the level of competition that they both faced. Mokaev has one way to win this fight, and it's to crouch sniff to a decision. And I think that Kape is going to be able to stop the grappling and potentially even put him out. Kape winning is also just a better alternative for the UFC. We have a new title challenger in the flyweight division. He's so much more entertaining than Mokaev. I mean, he says stuff that I can't even say here on YouTube on the mic. Plus, his fighting style is way more entertaining. And no one wants to see another Dagestani crouch-sniffing champion, right? We want entertaining fights. And if you had Manel Kape versus Alexander Pantoja, that'd be awesome. And I know I sound biased, but I truly do believe that Manel Kape is the way better striker and that he's going to be able to stop the grappling of Mokaev. Again, this kind of plays into what I was saying for the last fight. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 29-28 in Kape's favor. You know, Mokaev could sneak around with the grappling, but with damage as the number one scoring criteria in the UFC now, I do think that Kape is going to get this done. I would lean decision because they're lighter guys and they usually don't get many finishes in that division, but I actually would not be surprised to see a Kape knockout. So that is my official prediction for the fight. Let's move on to Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green. So let's kick things off with Paddy Pimblett. He is 3-0 in his last three. He's on a pretty big win streak right now ever since he entered the UFC. He's got 5 wins. The competition is mid at best, and let's be real, we all know he lost that Jared Gordon fight. But on the flip side, I do think that he is a talented fighter. I don't think he will ever touch gold. Honestly, I don't even think he would be able to compete in the top 5. But in a situation like this, I think he's kind of being set up to win. He's fighting on his home turf. He's got an 8-year age advantage on Bobby Green. And when the UFC has a potential star that they want to push, they're always going to put them in favorable matchups. I know on paper, this is a lot closer than a favorable matchup. I do agree. The odds are basically a pick 'em. I actually believe Bobby Green is a slight favorite, which we'll get into later. But introducing Bobby Green, he is 2-1 in his last 3 fights. He destroyed Jim Miller at UFC 300, which was impressive, but Miller's getting up there in age. I believe he's over 40. He took that brutal loss to Jalen Turner, which was probably one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen in my entire life. And then he had that crazy knockout over Grant Dawson, which I think Dawson was coming in at like minus 500 or minus 400 favorite. So that was crazy to see. So respect to Bobby Green for that one. And also, before you guys light me up in the comments, I know he changed his name to King Green, but that's ridiculous. So I'm going to always refer to him as Bobby Green. Breaking down this fight, though, we got a technical striker in Bobby Green who's great at what he does, but he lacks in the grappling department. And then we got Paddy Pimblett, whose base is jiu-jitsu and grappling oriented, but he can also strike. I'm not going to say he's a great striker, but he can stand in there with decent competition. So for this fight, I think the key is, can Bobby knock out Paddy before Paddy gets him to the ground? Because Paddy will not shy away from taking you down if he feels threatened on the feet, which I think that Paddy's shown us that he has a pretty good chin so far. You know, you can say what you want about him, but the guy's got a chin on him. So I think Bobby's going to come out aggressive, maybe catch Paddy, you know, wobble him a little bit, and then I think Paddy's going to take him down. And we'll either see a submission from Paddy or most likely a decision win. I could see another 29-28 in the favor of Paddy. I also really like Paddy as an underdog play. So give me Paddy the Fatty Pimblett by decision or knockout. You do a double chance on that one. For the co-main event of the evening, we got a rematch here for the interim title, which is crazy, because it should be John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, but Jones is ducking extremely hard, but we'll talk about that in a later video. We got Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall, and their first fight ended in an injury. I believe it was about 2 minutes in. Aspinall tore his ACL, which was terrible. So I'm glad we're going to be able to get to see them rematch and hash things out here. Aspinall is 2-1 in his last 3, that loss being to Curtis Blaydes due to a knee injury. And he dominated Marcin Tybura. He had a round 1 knockout. I believe it was in the first 1 or 2 minutes, which was crazy. And then stepping up on short notice at UFC 295 and finishing Pavlovich in a minute. So Aspinall has been looking unstoppable, but Blaydes has also been looking really good lately. He's coming off a great win over Jailton Almeida at UFC 299. Almeida was dominating him the first round with the grappling, but Blaydes caught him when he shot in for a takedown and hammer fisted him to a knockout victory. I believe that was Jailton's first loss in the UFC. But before that, he was a victim to Pavlovich. He lost in round 1 in the main event of a UFC fight night, which is a little bit concerning, considering that Aspinall put out Pavlovich in a minute, and I know MMA math doesn't always work, but we also just saw Pavlovich get extremely outclassed by Volkov, who Aspinall made easy work of. I believe he finished him with a Kimura about 2 minutes into their fight. So if we are using MMA math, Aspinall should win this fight easily. But in their first fight, Blaydes came out swinging. And I know it only lasted a couple of seconds, and that's not something I can really base my prediction on. But Blaydes was putting a lot of pressure on Aspinall. I was worried for him, and I know the fight was only a minute or so. But we saw an aggressive form of Blaydes that we don't usually see too much. He's usually a more reserved striker looking for the big shots and to use his grappling. But that does make me question if he's going to come out the same way as he did in their first fight. As for my official prediction, I'm going to go Tom Aspinall by knockout in the second round. I think that Aspinall is the ultimate package. He's got striking. He moves like he's a welterweight, even though he weighs 260-something pounds. And he's got the grappling, too. He has multiple submission victories. He always controls grappling sequences when they're going on. And he's got hands of steel. As for Blaydes, I do think he has a fighter's chance. Everyone does when you step into the octagon. But I think he's going to need to hit Aspinall with a big shot to put him out, because I think their grappling will even out. And honestly, I think Aspinall may have the grappling advantage after watching Blaydes fight with Almeida. So for my official prediction, give me Tom Aspinall by second round KO. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the main event of the evening. We got another rematch here for the welterweight title. We got Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. They're both on heavy winning streaks, and they fought one time before, but it ended in an injury, which is funny because the co-main event is the exact same scenario. This injury was an eye poke, I believe, in the second round, and they are here to settle the beef finally. They both really don't like each other, and I think we're in for a good fight. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be a boring fight because you have Belal, who, remember the name, remember the decision, if you know, you know. And you have Leon Edwards, who's a good striker, a really, really technical striker. But most of his fights end up going to decision, besides that Kamaru Usman head kick. But if you guys remember the first fight, I know it didn't last long as well, but it went about 2 rounds, and it was a good fight. It was definitely entertaining. Leon was a lot more aggressive than he usually is, and Belal was also trying to put the pressure on Leon. I don't think this rematch is going to be close. I think that Leon is going to put on a masterclass, and I think he's actually going to finish Belal here. I know Belal has been looking a lot better recently, and I've seen pictures of him recently. He's looking jacked coming into this fight. He's definitely on that Dagestani juice. But I think Leon is just too good. His takedown defense is impeccable. He was actually the first guy to ever take down Usman too, which is crazy. So he's got the wrestling, he's got the jiu-jitsu, and his striking is just insane. In my opinion, Belal's striking is not even in the same ballpark as Leon. And I think Belal's only way to victory here would be a submission, which is very rare from Belal. And I think also, that being said, Leon's defense with takedowns and his jiu-jitsu is extremely good. So with that being said, I don't really see a clear path to victory for Belal, but I can see Leon being able to end this fight in any way he wants. I know that a lot of people are actually picking Belal for this fight, but I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to stick with what I've seen. We've already seen this matchup play out, and I'm going to go with Leon Rocky Edwards. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Throw down a comment if you disagree with me or you want to talk. I'll be in the comments replying to all you guys. And thank you for watching my first video. If you guys have any tips on what I can improve on, or any criticism or anything like that, I'll take it. Just drop it down in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.